You canceled my birthday party? For a B+? Actions have consequences. So this one student got a B+ in math. Not too bad, right? Well, not according to his dad. The dad walks into the room holding the kid's report card. A B+? Are you kidding me? Dad, it's still above average. It's a really hard class. Well, it's not good enough. Give me your phone, now. Wait, what? No phone, and I'm canceling your birthday dinner. Yo, are you serious? Dead serious. The next morning, the dad emails the teacher, saying stuff like, why didn't you push my child harder? He's clearly capable of more. You're supposed to challenge him, not let him slack off. The teacher writes back, your son has the highest grade in class. He's the only one that got above a B. I'm actually very proud of him. His dad is crazy. The kid finds out about this email. He walks up to his dad and says, so can I have my phone back now and maybe my birthday? The dad just stares at him and walks away. Happy birthday to me, I guess. So this small town school incorporated a new rule. No hats ever. Not in class, not in the hallways, not even during lunch. Didn't matter the type. Snapback? No. What? Baseball cap? No. Bucket hat? Definitely no. Hey! The teachers said that this rule was about respect and uniformity. The principal kept saying stuff like, this is an institution of learning, not a fashion show, folks. But one day, this kid comes in wearing a helmet, like a full-on bike helmet strapped under his chin. You know, just sitting in class like it's completely normal. The teacher sees him. Why are you wearing a helmet in my class? You know the rules, no hats. Oh, it's not a hat. It's for safety. Nice try. You need to take it off. Actually, no, I don't. There's nothing in the handbook that says I can't wear protective headgear. She tries to argue with him, but he just smiles and says, look, you can ban hats, but this is personal protection. What if a ceiling tile falls? What if I trip and fall? Miss, I'm just being cautious. He wore it all day. He wore it to lunch. He wore it to gym. They called his parents. His parents said, hey, if he wants to wear a helmet, that's his right, okay? Better safe than sorry. So the school had no choice, because helmets are protective gear. They couldn't ban it, and all of a sudden, other students began joining in. By the end of the week, you had tons of kids wearing baseball helmets, lacrosse masks, skating helmets. It was iconic. However, they did eventually put this specific rule in the handbook. Students must not wear hats or helmets in school unless they have a doctor's note. That's kind of awesome. Please, I'll eat anything else, just not this. No, that is your tray, and that is your banana. Eat it. This kid goes to a small private school, the kind where everybody knows everybody, and lunch is always the same. Same trays, same rotations, and the same lunch aides watching over the room. Well, there was this one lunch aide, and for some reason, she did not like this kid at all. She never said it out loud, but you could tell. It was obvious. Other kids could toss their full milk away, leave veggies on their trays, just waste food, but him, for some reason, she watched his tray every single day, making sure he eats every last bit of food on the tray, which is absolutely insane in my opinion. Well, one day the school serves bananas, and this kid hates bananas. Can't stand the smell, he doesn't even like to touch them. He pushes the banana to the side and starts eating the rest of his food, hoping she wouldn't notice because he knows how she is. And here she comes. She stands right next to him and points to his tray. Eat the banana. I don't like bananas. Doesn't matter, you're not getting up till that tray is empty, young man. Can I give it to somebody else, please? No, it's your lunch. You eat what you were served. While everyone else finishes eating, the table clears out, lunch is over, and he's still sitting there just staring at the banana. Eventually, he picks it up, takes one bite, and gags. Tries again, he gags again, and he throws up right there in the table. You're absolutely pathetic. Then she says this, go to class, and next time, don't make such a big scene. That lady is the worst. Is that popcorn I smell? Room 114. Bring $1. Garlic cheddar just dropped. So this kid's school had a rule where you couldn't sell anything during school hours or on school grounds. And he wanted to start a business like many people do because it's the frickin' hustle, baby. Well, one year he got something for Christmas. It was a mini popcorn machine. So one day he brought it into school. It wasn't the big carnival one, it was one of those mini ones that you could put on a countertop. Well, on this day, he left it in the back of this empty classroom, the one that nobody used anymore. And he had an extension cord running from the popcorn machine to an outlet. Nobody noticed. And then he made signs to pass out. Free popcorn. Suggested donation $1. Room 114. At lunch, he'd leave the door open just enough. so people could smell the popcorn as they were walking towards the room. He had everything. He had cups, he had flavors, cheddar, garlic, ranch, even sweet chili. And what was genius was that he wasn't technically selling anything, so he couldn't really get in trouble. It's just popcorn. I offer it and they donate. Business boom. He had his friends standing around the hallway and going through the lunchroom telling them that room 14 has free popcorn. He even had Tabasco sauce packets to level it up. And if you guys never put hot sauce in your popcorn, you're severely missing out. It is a snack, I'm telling you. They started calling room 14 the Pop Shack. Now, teachers did start to notice this, mostly because of the smell. Eventually, the principal tracked it down and headed to room 114. What is this? Free popcorn. Suggested donation $1. You want some? The vice principal paused. He looked around. There was even a tip jar. He was impressed. Honestly, smells pretty good. Yeah, I'll take a cup of this sweet chili, and then you guys can just carry on. Here's a 5. That was that. They let him keep doing what he was doing. The only rules were this: no smoke, no fire, and no mess. And they had to have a teacher nearby to check in every so often, which they all agreed to. That was very reasonable. And by the end of the year, this kid had earned over $600 in donations. That is legendary behavior. Well, why is Tyler working in the hallway? Because democracy is brutal. So this one teacher had a rough week. The class was loud all week, no one listened to her, it was a total chaos week. Friday comes around and instead of teaching, she says, "Clearly something's wrong with this class dynamic, so let's fix it." She pulls out a stack of paper slips, passes them around, and says, "I want each of you to write down the name of the student that you think is holding back this class. Be honest." Kids start looking around. They're confused. And don't worry, this will be anonymous. They all write quietly. Slip by slip, she collects them, throws them into a box. Then she starts reading them out loud. Tyler, Tyler, Tyler. Sometimes Emma, but mostly Tyler. Tyler again. By the 10th one, Tyler's head is just on his desk. He can't believe this. Well, Tyler, it looks like your classmates think you're the issue. Do you have anything to say to that? He doesn't. Okay, so Monday you'll be sitting in the hallway during class, doing solo work until further notice, and the rest of the class just stared at him because Tyler had been quite literally democratically voted out of the class. That is actually insane. What is this? Oh, you weren't supposed to see that. So this one teacher, she always had a little black notebook on her desk, said it was for classroom notes. Everybody assumed it meant grades or it was like a behavior log. No one thought twice, but it wasn't that. It was a burn book, straight up page after page, trashing her students, all by name. One kid was labeled future con artist. One was 5th period manipulator, crybaby. One entry said, can't read social cues. Parents are either clueless or stupid. Like real crazy stuff. And nobody knew until parent-teacher conferences. One mom is sitting down at the teacher's desk for the meeting. The teacher had been flipping through some papers before and left the tiny little notebook open without even realizing it. She gets up and she says, "One second, I think I left your son's quiz folder in the copy room. I'll be right back." She leaves. The mom's sitting there, waiting. She glances at the teacher's desk, and she sees her kid's name at the top of a page of a tiny notebook. Manipulative, fake with adults, should be bullied, total snake? What is this? She flips a page, another student, then another, then another. Just tons of students being roasted in this little notebook by the teacher. She goes to the hallway and flags the parents in who are waiting for their time slot for the conference. By the time the teacher walks back in, all these parents are huddled around her desk reading this little black notebook. She was caught, red frickin' handed. All the teacher could say was this: conferences are over. She grabs a little notebook, puts it in her purse, and she leaves the room. And suddenly that teacher is on leave. And she's the stupid one, because the moment you write stuff down like that, you better be prepared for somebody to read it. And they did. That's nuts. So you're all just gonna roast me? It's called growth, sweetie. This one mom had a rule for birthdays. No cake, no presents, not until after the truth session. Every year, the birthday kid had to sit in the middle of the living room, while each family member, siblings, parents, sometimes even grandma, went around and shared one thing they did not like about the birthday kid. You interrupt too much. You always finish the milk and leave the carton in the fridge. I hate you, grandson. It was a roast, but it wasn't funny. One year, this kid Daniel, he turned 11. He walked into the living room already nervous. All right, let's begin. First up was his little sister. You yelled at me when I was on your Minecraft world. Then his mom. You've gotten lazy with your posture this year. Then Dad. You've been selfish lately, son. Just think about that. Daniel's eyes start to water. Oh no, don't cry. This is to help you, not to hurt you. You may have your cake now. Go. and he barely touched the cake. The next year, Daniel pretended to be sick on his birthday to try to get out of this whole thing. But the mom just moved the truth session to his room, and they did it bedside. They said it was character building. He said it was the worst tradition of his life. Participation is 40% of your grade. This teacher had one rule. If you didn't speak out loud during class, in every class, you would lose points. Didn't matter if you turned in everything. Didn't matter if you tried. If you didn't raise your hand and talk, she would dock you. And one kid, let's call him Aaron, he was trying. He had anxiety. He hated talking in class, but he tried. Miss, I know I don't talk much, but I listen and I do the work and I work hard. Well, that's not how life works, Aaron. If you want a grade, you gotta speak up. Aaron didn't like this, so he started tracking everything. Every time he raised his hand, he wrote it down. Every time he raised his hand and got skipped, he wrote that down. Every time the same 3 loud kids dominate every conversation, he wrote that down as well. Everything was getting documented by Aaron. Well, grades are updated, and his is a C. The reason? Non-participation. The next day, he stays after class. Hey, I saw my grade. You need to speak more, Aaron, I told you. Well, you need to stop ignoring me. Or fix your rule, because look at this. He drops a folder on her desk. Pages, timestamps, dates, secret selfies of him actually raising his hand. You say it's about participation, but I've been trying. I've been participating. This system doesn't make any sense. There are days where you just don't call on me. You can go. And he leaves. He thought that he got nowhere with that. But the next week, his grade was silently changed to an A. I think he actually got to that teacher. Because honestly, when I was in school, I hated that type of rule as well. People learn differently, and people participate differently. You gotta respect all of it. Can I go to the bathroom? You know the rules. This teacher had the worst bathroom policy ever. You weren't allowed to just ask. If you had to go, you had to stand up, walk to the front of the room, and explain why you deserved to go to the bathroom. Those were her words, deserved. He said it was about building confidence and reclaiming classroom trust. Mostly, she just didn't believe students were telling the truth. I've seen too many kids abuse the bathroom. If you really have to go, prove it. And so one day, this kid raises his hand. Usually, he avoids asking his teacher to use the bathroom because he just doesn't want to deal with all this. And during this class, he held it in as long as he could, but he really had to frickin' go. So he asks, Miss, can I go to the bathroom, please? You're gonna have to convince me. I'm not playing with you right now, miss. Can I please just go to the bathroom? I have to go so bad. You know the rules. Get up here and explain why you should go to the bathroom. Okay, fine. Can I do a visual demonstration? Whatever it takes. And yeah, by visual demonstration, that's exactly what he meant. This is your fault. He goes in his pants right then and right there. And the teacher, get this, she gets angry and sends him to the office. Go to the office now. He goes to the office and explains to the principal what had happened. And the principal did not take this lightly. Instead of seeing a kid disobeying a teacher's rule, he sees a teacher refusing to let students use the bathroom when they have to. After that day, in that class, if you had to use the bathroom, you were just allowed to go. And the principal gave that teacher her last warning. Yeah, she sounds horrible. Yo, is anybody home? Oh look, cookies. So when this kid was in school, his parents worked late. So after school, he had to walk home an hour and a half every time his parents worked late. He hated riding the bus, so he said he'd rather walk. So because of this, he would always try to hang out at a friend's house who lived nearby and just get picked up from there later in the night when his parents were off. Well, one day he's walking by that friend's house and he decides to give him a call. No answer, but he remembers where they keep the spare key. For some reason, he can't explain why. He grabs the key and he lets himself in. Starts walking around the house, calling out for his friend. Yo, you home? Hello? Silence. Nobody's there. So he goes to the fridge, makes himself a sandwich, sits down on the couch, and starts watching TV. About 15 minutes in, he realizes, oh my god, I just broke into my friend's house. What am I doing? And it's not just anybody's house. His friend is Russian, and his dad is a scary Russian man who had tons of firearms. He panics, he puts the key back, and he runs out of the house. He gets home safely. His friend calls him back later that day, and he didn't suspect a thing. And he has kept that secret every single day since then. That's crazy. You want a basic charge or fast? Let's do fast. I need it juiced up by next period. This kid figured out that everyone in his school always had super low battery on their phones. Teachers wouldn't let you charge your phone in class, and half of the outlets were blocked off. By third period, everyone's walking around with like 1% battery. So one day, he shows up to school with a massive portable battery bank. He hides it inside his locker, and he builds a business. $3 for a basic cord charge, $7 for the fast cord charge, $10 for full day priority service. Each cord is labeled blue, slow, red, fast. He's got adapters for every type of phone. He's got a chart in a spiral notebook, and business was booming. People are taking him up on this charging service. He's got sticky notes in every device. This phone for lunch only. This phone charging from lunch till end of day. You know, he was very organized. By the end of this week, he's got regulars. He's got VIPs. One girl even prepaid to have her own charging slot for the entire month to use whenever she wanted to. Kid asks if he can get a charge during science. Yeah, all right, basic or fast? Oh, fast. All right, that's $7. I'll be right back. But then one day, 3 kids show up to his locker in between classes, and they're all huddled around it. One teacher saw this and got very suspicious. She opens it up and finds 6 phones plugged into a glowing battery brick, fast charging cords tangled like spaghetti, and a handwritten menu taped to the door of the locker. Shut down, battery confiscated, parents called. That was it. He was definitely upset, but dang, what a business. In those 2 weeks he ran this, he made over $200. All because he had a good idea and a battery brick. Gotta respect the hustle. What's going on back there? Call a priest! This happened in elementary school. There were 2 sisters that lived at the top of a very steep hill. And I mean super steep, winding hill. Them at the top. And every morning, the school bus had to climb all the way to the top just to get them. But one morning, one of the sisters gets on looking pale. She sits in the back, she's quiet, the vibes are not good. Well, halfway down the steep hill, she throws up. Hard, loud, full forced. Right into the aisle. Her sister sees it and immediately throws up as well. Couple of kids nearby start gagging and then they throw up. And most of them are throwing up in the aisle. And remember, this is going downhill. So as they're puking, this river of vomit is just flowing to the front of the bus. And as the river passes each row, those people begin to throw up. Like a chain reaction. Every seat, somebody's adding to the stream. Like it's a contagious situation. Well, the river of vomit reaches the front. That's when the driver, Miss Jeannie, finally notices. She slams on the brake, stands up, turns around and says, "What is going on back here?" Then she sees it and immediately wishes she hadn't. She radios the school. "Oh my God, it smells. We're gonna need all the towels you have and maybe call a priest." When the bus finally pulls up to the school, the principal and the nurse are waiting. Jeannie opens the door to the bus and the puke starts to pour out of it. That's how much was in there. Eventually, everybody gets off the bus, but the smell follows them into the school. And I kid you not, kids were throwing up in other classrooms just from the scent. And that day went down in history. What a frickin' nightmare. It's this kid's birthday. Normally, his friend group always does something for him at school. Balloons, lunch table celebration, something every year. This year they plan a prank. Yo, when Steven comes in today, let's not say a word. We're gonna act like we forgot it's his birthday. Oh yeah. Then at the end of the day, we're gonna surprise him with this cupcake. Everyone agrees. They put the cupcake in this dude's locker, saving it for the end of the day. The birthday kid walks in, smiling. He sees his friends. "Hey, what's up, guys?" "Oh, hey, what's up, Steven? Anyway, I'm gonna head to class." "Yeah, me too. All right, see you later, Steven." What? Then lunch comes around, he sits down, and nothing. Did anyone remember what day it is today?" "Yeah, bro, it's Thursday." By last period, he looks crushed. He thinks everyone forgot it was his birthday. The bell rings, and everyone goes home. But here's the problem. The friend group forgot that they were playing a prank and ended up not surprising him, and therefore they forgot it was his birthday altogether. The giant cupcake they bought is still sitting in this dude's locker. Birthday kid goes home super upset. The next morning, the kid goes to his locker. Oh, crap. And that's when he realized he messed up. Black markets kids ran in their schools, a follower submission. When this kid was in 5th grade, he started a business, a snack selling business. He bought a bunch of stuff from Costco. Candies, chips, juice, anything that was popular at that moment. And the second he started selling at school, business was immediately booming. He was selling out every single day. Well, one day he came to school ready to get his business on, to make some money. but he realized business was abnormally slow. And that's when he found out that there was another group of kids who also started the same exact business. Well, he wasn't gonna let this fly. So he made himself some business cards and started having bundles with deals that kids could purchase. He hired 4 employees, one in his grade, one in 6th grade, one in 7th grade, and one in 8th grade, and they were paid every single Friday. They had 5 lockers, one for each person in each grade, and each one of those lockers were stuffed to the brim with candy and snacks. In total, he made $7,200. This teacher is the worst. When he was 9 years old, he had a teacher that hated him. He was kind of a chubby kid, and one time he didn't do his homework and she flipped out. "This is your workbook. You're supposed to do homework in your workbook. I don't see your homework." She was flipping through it so hard she ripped a bunch of pages. But she wasn't done. She then, in front of the entire class, started screaming at him even more. "You know what, Kyle? You're probably too busy stuffing your face with sandwiches and Twinkies that you didn't have time to do your homework. You're so fat." She then made him go to the back corner of the classroom and stand there with his hands straight up in the air until class was over. "Hands up, Kyle." He went home and told his parents what happened. The next day, they came into school with him. They went to her room and asked why she did that. To which she replied, "I'm sorry, I don't recall that happening. I think your kid might be making it up. I'm sorry." "Everybody shoes off before the test, but I'm not wearing socks." Well, that's too damn bad. So this teacher had a rule, a very specific rule. Before every test, shoes had to come off. No exceptions. It didn't matter if you didn't have any socks on. It didn't matter if it was cold. She said it helped keep the energy in the room settled and grounded. Her exact words were, "Your mind works better when your feet can breathe." Obviously, at first people thought she was joking, but she wasn't. She even had a bin by the front door labeled testing shoes. That's where students would put their shoes in when they got in the classroom on test day. And if you did forget to wear socks, she had loaner socks, like actual backup socks that she kept in her drawer. People rarely used them, but they were there. But one day, one kid walks in and he doesn't take his shoes off. He just sits down. He begins the test and then she stops everything. "Hey, you need to remove your shoes or leave the room." And he's like, "You know what, miss? Is this even in the handbook? Are you even allowed to do this?" She doesn't answer him. She just stares at him, walks over to his desk, and writes a big 0 on it. That's when he gets up, walks to the office, and tells them everything. The next week, a new policy came down. No teacher may require students to remove shoes. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. "Where's my marker? Where's my marker?" "Miss, there's another marker right there." "It's not the same." So this teacher had a favorite marker. Not the kind of favorite where she used it. It was the kind of favorite where she just talked about it a lot and kept it close. It was a purple Expo marker with a chisel tip. She called it her thinking marker. You know, she would use it to teach and whatever. She kept it in a separate drawer and she said that nobody was allowed to use it. One day she opens the drawer and it's gone. She pulls the drawer out of her desk, turns around and holds it up to the class. "Who took my purple marker?" Class is confused. They're like, "Here we go." But she doesn't start class. She just paces the room. "You know, I'm not even mad. I'm just really, really disappointed in you guys. That marker was a gift. It meant something to me." And everyone's just sitting there like, yo, is she crying? Over a marker? Then she locks the door. "We are not leaving until it's returned." She gives a whole 15-minute speech. She called it a teachable moment in betrayal. People started checking their bags just to prove that they didn't have it. They were dumping everything out like, "Miss, we don't have your frickin' marker, lady." Eventually, someone finds this purple marker under her desk. It rolled behind a storage box that she kept down there. She picks it up, holds it in the air, and she says, "See? This is why trust matters, you guys." Class ended 10 minutes late that day because of this teacher's nonsense, and nobody learned a thing, except for the fact that maybe she is weirdly in love with an Expo marker. So there was this teacher, strict, rule-obsessed. Didn't matter what the rule was, if you didn't follow it, you were done. One day, the student, let's call him Marcus, starts coughing in class. He reaches into his backpack and pulls out his inhaler. Doesn't say anything, doesn't interrupt the class, he just takes his inhaler. And the teacher stops the entire lesson. "Excuse me, what is that?" "That's my inhaler, I have asthma." She walks over, takes it out of his hand, and goes, "You can't just use things like this during my instruction. I'm putting this on my desk. Now, I forgot to mention that this teacher was kind of one of those super old mean teachers, so, maybe she's losing it, because who would do this? Anyway, this kid tries to explain, but she doesn't care. She takes his inhaler and puts it on her desk. If it's that serious, go to the nurse. Otherwise, follow classroom rules. Marcus just sits there, wheezing, staring at the inhaler in front of the room. Well, after class, he actually goes to the nurse and tells her what happened. And the nurse is absolutely livid. She talks to the principal, she calls Marcus's mom, she files a report. Within 24 hours, there's a giant meeting at the school, and this teacher's there. No one knows exactly what happened in that meeting, but the principal pulled Marcus aside afterwards and told him that he was free to use his inhaler whenever he felt he needed to. Marcus never said another word to her in her class, but he used his inhaler whenever he wanted, and she didn't say a single thing. Now, this may not be related to what she did, but at the end of that year, that teacher retired. Good. So this kid, her name is Jennifer. She's 10 years old, she's super chill, she's having dinner with her parents. Her and her family are just talking about school when she casually says this. Oh, Katie's in my class. That's my teacher's daughter. Totally normal, right? Well, her mom froze. Like fork in her mouth froze, startled, and she goes, wait, your teacher's daughter is in her own class? Jennifer is confused. She's like, yeah, I mean, she treats her like everybody else. It's super normal. And her mom's like, of course, sweetie. Now go on. She smiles, nods, and sends her kid to go play Minecraft or something. Then she turns to her husband and says this. This is a full-blown scandal. She starts talking about how this teacher's kid has unfair advantages, like secret access to test answers and stuff like that, like it's a freaking crime show. Her husband's just trying to eat, and he goes, are we sure this is a big deal? Well, apparently that was the wrong move. You're not even willing to stand up for your own daughter? What do you say? And then the next morning, she wakes up and she emails the entire 5th grade team at that school, saying that this kid being in her class is incredibly unfair, and that she's gonna go to the principal, calling it a terrible case of nepotism, which is just a fancy word for playing favorites, even though there's literally no proof that this teacher is playing favorites at all. She even CC'd her husband on the email. He reads it and he's like, yo, you really sent that email? Are you kidding me? She said that when her husband said that, she got so mad she left the room. Way too disrespectful. You're being a terrible father. Now, it's incredibly awkward for this entire family. The husband is not talking to his wife. He's super pissed because she's being absolutely crazy. There's nothing wrong with a teacher having her own daughter in the classroom. Like, it has nothing to do with them. Jennifer's kind of like, what is going on? She said it's been awkward for her in class as well. And this entire time, the mom is walking around like, I can't believe no one sees what's happening here. This is a scandal. No, it's not. What do you guys think? So this guy's nephews are graduating high school. It's a big crowd. He knows it's gonna be packed. So he shows up to the graduation early. He brought his own folding chair because he has bad knees, and he brought some headphones. So he opened his chair, sat down, and popped his headphones in. And because he's early, he was just chilling by the entrance. About 40 minutes before they let everybody in, this pregnant woman shows up. Somebody must have let her cut in line because all of a sudden she's right next to him. And not even 5 minutes later, she taps him on the shoulder and says this. Excuse me, would you mind letting me sit in your chair? I'm having trouble standing. Okay. He's polite about it, He goes, I'm sorry, I can't. I got really bad knees and bad feet, so, I need it. That's why I brought it. She nods and then asks again like 2 minutes later, and he's like, yeah, still no, I'm sorry. So now she's annoyed. She's huffing and puffing. She turns to her husband and is like, can you say something to him, please? Hey man, she's pregnant. Would you mind letting her sit in that seat? The gall of these people, okay? Anyway, this guy says, I get it, but I really do need it. That is why I brought it. She can wait in the car or maybe sit on the curb or something. I don't know. It's not my problem. Now this lady's husband flips. Wow, you are such an a**hole. Here's the thing. This guy came early. He planned everything. He brought his own chair because he has bad knees and feet. That's his chair. And now he's the bad guy for not giving his chair to some rude pregnant lady? Please. So this mom sends her son to preschool. He's 5, super nice kid, and he loves the lunches she packs for him. They're not normal lunches or whatever, but they're his favorites. Celery sticks with blue cheese and goat cheese, a little bit of kimchi and spam, they're Korean, and a few spicy Doritos tossed in sriracha. What a bold lunch. And honestly, that sounds freaking awesome. Let's go. Anyway, a few hours after she picked him up one day, she gets a call from the teacher, and the teacher doesn't even try to be nice. Hi, yeah, I need you to stop packing your son such disgusting and inappropriate lunches. The mom's like, excuse me? Yes, they're distracting other students, they smell disgusting, and they are just definitely not school appropriate. And keep in mind, this is preschool. And this teacher's going full-on Gordon Ramsay about a 5-year-old's lunch. The mom is stunned. She says this, "Look, I know it's not the healthiest, but he loves it. It's some of what he eats at home, and it's just comforting for him." Well, it's making the classroom uncomfortable. So the mom wraps it up like a professional. "I appreciate your concern, lady, but I am not going to completely change my son's lunches just because some other students are distracted by what he eats. Okay, bye." And she hangs up. For real though, where does this teacher get off? An hour later, ding, an email from the teacher. This email is saying that the mom's response was unacceptable and that these lunches are just too inappropriate to be sent to school anymore. What? Celery, goat cheese, blue cheese, kimchi, spam, what is wrong with that? This teacher banned a 5-year-old's lunch because she is an ignorant piece of work. Yeah. So this girl, Amy, she's 15, straight up running a business at her school. Like it's a full-on operation. She buys the snacks and drinks in bulk. She breaks them up and sells them individually at a markup. Classic black market school economy. She's been doing this for 2 years now, and she's not out here just hoarding the cash that she makes. She's buying stuff. She's using her profits to buy clothes, shoes, whatever she wants. She doesn't ask her parents for money, she earns it. And her mom, well, her mom is like, I mean, yeah, why would I stop her? You know, she's not selling anything illegal, her grades are fine, and I haven't had to buy her anything in months. I'm really proud of her. But the school? Oh no. They catch her and a few other snack dealers and boom, week of detentions. And they warn her, one more time and you're suspended. Please, okay. Now the dad's losing his mind. No, honey, this is serious, okay? She's risking her education. She needs to be grounded. And the mom's like, grounded for what? Capitalism? Like for real, what are we doing here, you guys, you know? She's not disrupting class, she's not failing. In fact, she's doing better than she has before. She's not pushing anything shady. She's just really good at business. The mom says this, the school's obviously making something out of nothing. It's not like she's slinging crank behind the vending machines. And honestly, I get it. I understand like rules are rules, but let's be real here. Half these schools don't teach the kids anything useful anyways. Good for her, for respecting her own hustle. And if that was my school, I'd be asking for her supply chain. Big ups to Amy. So this girl's about to start high school, 9th grade. New school, new classes, and she just got her course selection sheet for the next year. She fills it out on her own. She just picks what she wants to take. You know, she doesn't want to overwhelm herself, which I totally get. It's her first year in a brand new school. It's high school, you know, and she's just trying to get through the transition without drowning in homework. Yeah, I would do the same. A few days later, her mom finds the form, and she loses it. Why did you pick all the easiest courses? What happened to preparing for college? Mom, I picked all the easy ones because I don't want to drown in work. It's high school, and I'm not even sure if I want to go to university yet. She didn't say she's dropping out. She didn't say that she's never going to learn again. She just said, I'm 13, Mom, I just don't know. But that's not enough for her mom. Her mom is accusing her of slacking, saying she's just trying to avoid homework. Then she notices that she didn't sign up for music class, and she flips out again. Why didn't you sign up for music class? You are so good at music. Because if I take music, I have to join the band, and band practice is at 5 a.m., Mom. So? She's 13. She doesn't want honors classes and pre-sunrise saxophone rehearsals. The mom ended up forcing her to take the classes that she wanted her to take, which in my opinion is so messed up. And I just want to tell her, don't be confused when your daughter doesn't want to talk to you in 5 years.
Hey, কি করবি? চেনা চেহারা না হলে কি চেহারা কথা তো বেশি চেহারা ওজন বেশি
আপনি না শুই না দেখা সব জানা ফেলছেন বাবা
রক্ত লাগবে রে
রক্ত
আসবো না মানে
হ্যাঁ তাই তো শুনলাম
আসবো না ঠিক আছে দেখতেছি ব্যাপারটা যাও
কি রে তুই কোচিং এ যাস না কেন?
দোস্ত আমি কোচিং এ কিভাবে যাব বল? এই গুন্ডাটা যে আমাকে ডিস্টার্ব করে তুই দেখতেই তো পারছস, ডেইলি আমার পিছনে লাগে থাকে।
আমার ভালোবাসার গল্পটা অপূর্ণ রয়ে গেল গলবে পাখির মন গলবে এমন মন্ত্র দেব
এভাবে রাস্তাঘাটে একটা মেয়েকে উত্তক্ত করে আর নিজের গায়ে রক্ত দিয়ে
এই এই দুলাভাই সামনে থাকলে যে সালাম দিতে হয় আপনি শিখাই নাই তোরা
যে কোচিং এর সামনে যে গুন্ডাটা দাঁড়িয়ে থাকে আমার তো মনে হয় পড়াশোনা সব বন্ধ করে দিবে।
আমি তোর প্রেমের গল্প সাকসেসফুল আমার কথা বিশ্বাস কর আমি শুধু একটু প্রেম ভালোবাসা চাই আমি শুধু ওরেই চাই বাবা আমি ওরে পাইলে হবে
ওকে আমি আপনাকে ভালোবাসি। আচ্ছা আপনার কাছে একটা প্রশ্ন,
আমার তো অনেক ভয় লাগতেছে দোস্ত, এই যে আস্তে আস্তে সব মানুষ জানবে তারপর আমার ফ্যামিলিকেও জানাই দিবে আর আমার
এন্ড বেস্ট অফ লাক ফর ডক্টরশিপ আমি দোয়া করি তুমি যেন একজন ভালো ডক্টর হও।
কিরে মাম্মা, কই রে তুই? কতক্ষণ ধরে দাঁড়ায় থাকবো? কনসার্ট তো শুরু হয়ে যাবো।
তাইলে তো বন্ধু রীত লেগে গেল। আরে বেটা এত লাফাইস না, যেরকম শুনতেছি পরীর মতো এরকম করলে তো বেটা যা। পারলে তো ভালো, দেখা যাক কি করে শালা। বোবা, হ্যাঁ কথা বলতে পারো না? বিয়ান সাহেব, আসসালামু আলাইকুম বিয়ান সাহেব।
এক্সকিউজ মি,
বলে দিবেন যে আমার বন্ধুর সাথে যেন ভালোভাবে প্রেম করে, নাইলে কিন্তু ঝামেলা আছে। যেদিকে তাকাই তোমায় দেখতে পাই, কিচ্ছু ভালো লাগে না। বন্ধু তুই যদি রক্ত দেস ভালো লাগে না রে দোস্ত।
না দুলা ভাই, আমি তো কোচিং এ যাই নাই, আমার তো বাসায় গেস্ট আসছে আর আমার আম্মু তো একা, এজন্য আমি যাই না।
আমার পড়াশোনা সবকিছু বন্ধ করে দিবে, তখন আমি কি করব?
আরে ছাইরা দে।
তবে তিনটে সেকেন্ড ইয়ারে পড়ি।
সেকেন্ড ইয়ারে এখন ক্লাস 9 এর পোলাবেনও প্রেম করে। মামা মায়া তো অস্থির।
এক্সকিউজ মি আপু, এক্সকিউজ মি, আপনার নামটা যদি বলতেন একটু।
শুনেন বেন সাহেব, আমার বন্ধু জিসান, ঠিক আছে? আপনার বান্ধবীরে শুনুন। মারি নাই তো, শাসন করছি। ভালো লাগে না, একটু মারতেই পারি, তাহলে কিন্তু খুব খারাপ হয়ে যাচ্ছে। তুই রবিলের সুন্দরটা রিক্সা ডাক। ভাবি ঠিক আমার বন্ধু জিসান দিচ্ছে, প্লিজ ভাবি আপনি একটু নেন, প্লিজ ভাবি। দেখেন ভাবি ফোন তো ধরে না, আবার কল দে। এই এই দুলাভাই সামনে থাকলে যে সালাম দিতে হয়, আপনি শিখাই নাই তোরা?
যে কোচিং এর সামনে যে গুন্ডাটা দাঁড়িয়ে থাকে, আমার তো মনে হয় পড়াশোনা সব বন্ধ করে দিবে।
আমি তোর প্রেমের গল্প সাকসেসফুল না। আমার কথা বিশ্বাস কর। আমি শুধু একটু প্রেম ভালোবাসা চাই, আমি শুধু ওরেই চাই বাবা, আমি শুধু ওরে পাইলে হবে।
ওকে, আমি আপনাকে ভালোবাসি। আচ্ছা, আপনার কাছে একটা প্রশ্ন,